For a decade, Canada was the world's immigration superpower. It wasn't just a policy, it was a brand. If you were a tech worker in Bengaluru or a student in Lagos, the Canadian dream was sold as the easier, kinder alternative to the American nightmare. But as of April 2026, that brand is being dismantled. The Canadian government has hit the emergency brake. We are seeing the most sweeping immigration reforms in half a century. Permanent residency targets slashed. International student caps tightened. Temporary resident numbers being forcibly shrunk to 5% of the total population. But why the sudden change of heart? Is it a genuine correction of a broken system, or is it a political survival tactic for a government facing an affordability crisis? We look at the facts. No rhetoric, no maple syrup sweetness, just the data behind the great Canadian U-turn.
Let's look at the levels plan. This is the blueprint for who gets into Canada. For years, the target was moving toward 500,000 permanent residents, PRs per year. In 2026, that reality has shifted. The PR squid. The government has officially lowered its targets. From a peak of 500,000, we are now looking at 380,000 in 2026 and 365,000 in 2027. This is a 21% decrease from previous projections. The temporary resident cap. This is the real shock to the system. For the first time in history, Canada has set a harder limit on temporary residents, students, and foreign workers. The goal is to bring them down from 6.5% of the population to just 5% by 2027. How do you lose nearly 2% of your population? You don't just stop new people from coming in. You essentially tell those already there that their time is up. It's not just about the numbers. It's about the law. On March 26, 2026, Bill C-12, the Strengthening Canada's Immigration System and Borders Act, received royal assent. This is not the liberal Canada the world remembers. What are the facts of Bill C-12? The first one is the 1-year rule. Asylum seekers must now file their claim within 1 year of entering Canada. Miss the deadline? You are ineligible. The second is information sharing. The government now has the legal authority to share biometric and personal data across all federal and provincial departments. The silos are gone. The third one is the cancel button. The immigration minister now has the power to suspend or cancel entire groups of applications or visas if it's deemed in the public interest. Critics call it draconian. The government calls it modernizing. The fact is, the back door to Canada is being bolted shut. If you want to see where the reform hits hardest, look at the universities. For a long time, international students were treated as cash cows for Canadian colleges. They paid 3 to 4 times the tuition of domestic students. In exchange, they got a post-graduation work permit, a clear path to PR. The path is now an obstacle course. Study permits have been slashed. In 2025, the cap was 437,000. In 2026, it remains frozen. You can no longer just study anything and get a work permit. New rules require students to graduate from programs linked to labor shortage, healthcare, trades, and STEM. Unless you are a master's or PhD student, your spouse can no longer get an open work permit. The result? Study permit applications from India, Canada's largest source, fell by nearly 30% in the first half of 2025. The message to international students is clear. Canada is no longer an open invitation. It's a selective recruitment drive. Why the sudden hostility toward growth? It's not about xenophobia. It's about maths. Canada's population grew by over 1 million people in 2023 alone. That's 3.2%, the fastest growth in the G7. But here is what didn't grow. Canada needs to build 3.5 million extra homes by 2030 just to restore affordability. Right now, it's building a fraction of that. Emergency room wait times are at record highs. You can bring in 1 million people, but if you don't bring in 10,000 doctors to treat them, the system snaps. Economists at TD Bank and RBC have been blunt. The immigration surge outpaced the observative capacity. The government ignored the red lights until the engine started smoking. Now, they are trying to fix it while the car is still moving.
So, what is the fair assessment? Canada is currently undergoing a correction. For years, it used immigration as a cheat code for economic growth, filling low-wage jobs and propping up aging demographics. But they forgot the settlement part of the immigration equation. The reforms of 2025 and 2026 are an admission of failure. An admission that diversity and openness are meaningless if your citizens, whether new or old, cannot afford a roof over their heads. Is Canada still a land of opportunity? Yes, but it is no longer the land of unlimited opportunity. The door is still there, but the requirements to walk through it have never been higher. The Canadian dream has been edited, and the world needs to read the fine print.